My fiancée said, "We're using your bonus for my dream bachelorette in Ibiza. The wedding's about me." I smiled. "You're right." Then I booked her the full trip, called the venue, and postponed the wedding indefinitely. She landed a missed calls and a text. "Enjoy your trip." Original post. I, 34 male, have been engaged to my fiancée for about 11 months. We were supposed to get married in 6 weeks. Notice the past tense. Let me give you some background because context matters here. I work in corporate finance. Not Wall Street glamorous, but solid middle management at a regional firm. I've been there 8 years, worked my way up, and this year I finally hit a milestone that triggered a performance bonus I've been working toward for literally 3 years. $18,500 after taxes. That money was earmarked for a very specific purpose, the down payment on a house we'd been looking at. We discussed this multiple times. It was the plan. My fiancée works in event planning. She's good at her job, makes decent money, but she's also got expensive taste. When we first started dating, I thought it was charming. She knew what she wanted and wasn't afraid to go after it. 3 years later, I've realized there's a difference between knowing what you want and expecting everyone else to fund it. The wedding budget became the first real red flag, but I ignored it because that's what you do when you're in love and stupid. Her parents offered $15,000 toward the wedding. My contribution was supposed to be around $12,000. Somehow, over the course of planning, that number crept up to $19,000. Then $23,000. Every time I pushed back, I got the same response. "It's our wedding. Don't you want it to be special?" I wanted it to be special. I also wanted to not start our marriage drowning in debt. But I compromised. I always compromised. Then came the Bachelorette party conversation. She'd been planning this trip with her bridesmaids for months. Originally, it was supposed to be a long weekend at a beach resort domestically. Reasonable. Fun. Within everyone's budget. Then one of her bridesmaids suggested they upgrade to an international destination. Specifically, a club-hopping extravaganza in Spain. 7 days. VIP everything. The whole 9 yards. The estimated cost per person was around $4,200. Her maid of honor had already started collecting deposits from the group. Everything was moving forward. Here's the thing. My fiancée expected me to cover her portion. Not asked me. Expected. We were sitting at dinner 2 weeks ago when she brought it up. "So, I need to talk to you about the trip budget," she said, casual as anything. "What about it? The girls are all paying their share, but obviously I'm the bride, so I shouldn't have to pay for my own bachelorette. That's tacky." I set down my fork. "Okay, so who's covering yours?" She looked at me like I'd asked something incredibly obvious. "You are. Obviously. That's over $4,000. And you just got that bonus. It's not like you don't have it. That money is for the house down payment. We talked about this." This is where she said the thing that broke something in me. She actually rolled her eyes, and said, "We're using your bonus for my dream bachelorette. The wedding is about me. The bride. Everything else can wait. We'll figure out the house later." I sat there for a moment, just processing. Not the words themselves, but the tone. The absolute certainty that my money was her money, that my plans were subordinate to her wants, that later was an acceptable answer for our shared future while now was mandatory for her party. Something clicked off of my brain. That cold, detached feeling I'd heard other people describe, but never experienced myself. I smiled. "You're right," I said. "I'll book it tomorrow." She beamed, kissed me, told me I was the best, and that she knew I'd come around. Went to bed happy. I stayed up until 2 a.m. First, I logged into the travel site and booked her the full trip. Flight, hotel, the VIP package her friends had been coordinating. Put on my credit card. $4,847, including travel insurance. Done. Then I pulled up our wedding vendor contacts. The venue, the caterer, the florist, the photographer, the DJ. I drafted emails to each of them explaining that due to unforeseen circumstances, we needed to postpone the wedding indefinitely. I asked about their cancellation and rescheduling policies. Most of them required 30 days' notice for a full refund of remaining balances. We were at 42 days out. I was within the window. I didn't send the emails yet. I wanted to wait until she was gone. The next week was surreal. She was excited about the trip, talking about outfits and clubs and Instagram content. I nodded along, made appropriate sounds, helped her pack, drove her to the airport with her 2 local bridesmaids who were catching the same flight. "I'll miss you," she said, kissing me at the departure drop-off. "Have the time of your life," I said, and I meant it. She walked into the terminal. I drove home, and then I got to work. I sent the emails to every vendor, called the venue directly to confirm they received the postponement request. The wedding coordinator was confused, asked if everything was okay, if there was something she could do. I told her it was a personal matter, and I appreciated her understanding. Then I texted my fiancée. Simple message: enjoy your trip. The wedding is postponed indefinitely. We need to talk when you get back. Or don't. Your choice. I turned off my phone. She landed in Spain about 9 hours later. When she finally got Wi-Fi at the hotel, she had 31 missed calls from her mom, 14 from her sister, and my text. I know this because her maid of honor started blowing up my best friend's phone, asking what the hell was happening. My buddy called me. I gave him a short version, and he just said, "Damn, good for you, man." The bridesmaids apparently had a crisis meeting in the hotel lobby, while my ex-fiancée had a complete meltdown. They tried to get her on a flight home immediately, but she'd have to eat the cost of the remaining 6 days of non-refundable bookings. The trip I paid for. She stayed. Of course she stayed. It was already paid for. Update 1, 5 days later. She's back, and it's been exactly as chaotic as I expected. Let me fill in what happened while she was gone first. The vendor responses came in within 48 hours. Most of them were understanding. The venue agreed to hold our deposit as a credit for a future event within 18 months, no penalty. The caterer refunded 80% since we were outside their hard cutoff. The photographer was the nicest about it, said she'd seen enough weddings fall apart to know when to just process the paperwork quietly. The DJ was annoyed, but processed the cancellation. The floors tried to charge a fee, but I pushed back with the contract terms, and they backed down. All in all, I recovered about $16,400 of the $23,000 I'd put in. Not great, but not catastrophic. Her parents' $15,000 contribution had mostly gone to the venue and caterer, so technically they were the ones losing money on this. I felt a little bad about that. Her dad had always been decent to me. While she was in Spain, she tried calling me approximately 200 times over the first 2 days. I know because my voicemail was full when I finally turned my phone back on. The messages ranged from confused, "What is happening?" "Call me back," to angry, "You can't just do this," to threatening, "My mother is going to destroy you," to weirdly calm, "Okay, I understand you're upset. Let's talk about this like adults." I didn't respond to any of them. Her mother called me once. I answered because I figured I owed her that much. "What have you done?" she demanded. "No hello. I postponed the wedding." "You can't just postpone a wedding without discussing it with the bride." She told me the wedding was about her. So I figured the postponement could be about me. Silence. Then, "This is about the Bachelorette money, isn't it? You're throwing away a 3-year relationship over $4,000. "No, ma'am. I'm reassessing whether I want to marry someone who views my income as her personal budget line." The Bachelorette was just the moment I realized it. She hung up. Fair enough. The day my fiancée landed back home, she came straight to our apartment. I'd half expected her to show up while I was at work and pack her things quietly. Instead, she walked in at 7 p.m. while I was making dinner, dropped her suitcase in the hallway, and stood there with her arms crossed. "Explain yourself." I turned off the stove. "What would you like me to explain? You humiliated me. In front of all my friends. In another country. They all saw me fall apart. They all know you did this. I didn't humiliate you. I declined to marry you. There's a difference. We were 6 weeks from the wedding. And you told me my bonus, money I've been working toward for 3 years, was going to fund your vacation because the wedding is about you." So I agreed. The wedding is about you. And now it's not happening. She stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. That's not what I meant." "What did you mean?" "I meant the wedding day. The event. Not the entire concept of us getting married. You spent the last year treating our wedding like your personal project that I'm bankrolling. Every time I try to set a budget, you push past it. Every time I express concern, you told me to stop being cheap. When I got a bonus I'd been planning to use for our house, you announced, not asked, announced, that it was going toward your party. At what point was any of this about us? She didn't have an answer for that. Just stood there, jaw tight, eyes wet. I paid for your trip, I said. All of it. You wanted your dream bachelorette, you got it. Consider it my parting gift. You're parting. Are you breaking up with me? I'm saying the wedding is off. What happens next is up to you. But I'm not going to pretend the last year hasn't shown me exactly who I'd be marrying. She grabbed a vase off the side table, one she'd picked out, ironically, and threw it at the wall. Didn't hit me. Didn't even come close. Just shattered against the plaster. You're going to regret this, she said. Everyone is going to know what you did. I didn't do anything except decline to be an ATM. If you want to tell people that story, go ahead. She grabbed her suitcase, still full from the trip, and left. The next few days were tense. Her bridesmaids reached out to mutual friends trying to get information. Her family was apparently in full crisis mode. I heard through the grapevine that her father was furious, not at me, but at her, because he'd now lost $15,000 and had to explain to his relatives why the wedding was off. One of her cousins texted me out of nowhere. Just heard what happened. Between us, everyone in the family saw this coming except her parents. Sorry it went down like this. I didn't know what to do with that, so I just said thanks. Update 2, 2 weeks later. Things have gotten messy, but also clearer. First, she's been telling people her version of events. Predictably, it casts me as the villain. According to her narrative, I abandoned her while she was on her bachelorette, canceled the wedding without warning, and have been emotionally abusive throughout the relationship. The emotionally abusive part stung, not gonna lie. I've never raised a hand to her, never screamed at her, never controlled where she went or who she talked to. But I guess declining to fund things counts as abuse now. A few of our mutual friends bought it initially. One of them, a guy I've known since college, actually called me to check in with this cautious tone like I might be dangerous. Dude, I said. She told me my bonus belonged to her bachelorette because the wedding is about her. I have the texts. Want to see them? I sent him the screenshots. The conversation where she explicitly told me we were using my money for her trip. The part where she said everything else could wait. His response was a long pause, and then, yeah, that's a lot. He's still friends with both of us, but he stopped asking me to explain myself after that. Second, her mother escalated. She showed up at my job, just walked into the lobby of my office building and asked reception to page me. I work in a professional environment. We don't do surprise visitors in the middle of the workday. Security called up, and my manager, who'd already heard a sanitized version of what happened because I'd asked for a personal day after the breakup, came to my desk with raised eyebrows. There's a woman downstairs claiming to be your mother-in-law? Ex. Almost. She's my ex-fiancée's mother. Do you want me to have them escort her out? I thought about it. No. I'll go down. But if I'm not back in 15 minutes, call security. I found her in the lobby, arms crossed, purse clutched like a weapon. She'd clearly been crying at some point, though she was composed now. We need to talk. This isn't the place. You won't answer my calls. You won't answer her calls. What choice do I have? I glanced at the security guard, who was watching with that carefully neutral expression. You have the choice to respect boundaries. I don't owe you a conversation at my workplace. You owe us an explanation. You owe my daughter closure. Your daughter threw a vase at my wall and called me abusive to our entire social circle. I don't owe her anything. Her face twitched. She was upset. You blindsided her. I responded to 3 years of being treated like a cash dispenser. The blindside was mutual. She took a breath, changed tactics. Her voice softened. Look, I know my daughter can be intense. She gets that from me. But she loves you. This whole thing, the trip, the budget arguments, that's just wedding stress. It doesn't mean anything. It means everything. It told me exactly how she views our partnership. And it's not a partnership at all. It's a sponsorship. That hit. She flinched like I'd slapped her. You're really not going to work this out? No. She'll move on, you know. She'll find someone else. I hope she does. I hope he has deeper pockets and lower expectations. She didn't have a response to that. Just turned and walked out. I went back to my desk. My manager asked if everything was okay. I said it would be. He nodded and didn't push. Decent guy. Third, the apartment situation. We've been living together for about 18 months. The lease is in my name. She moved in with me when her old place got too expensive. She'd been paying $600 a month toward rent, which was about 30% of the total. Not equal, but something. She came by 3 days ago with her sister to collect her things. I wasn't there on purpose. I'd gone to a buddy's place to avoid any confrontations. She had her key still, so I just let her handle it. When I got home, the place was half empty. Not in a bad way, actually. Just cleared out. Her decorative stuff, her kitchen gadgets, her throw pillows. The space felt bigger, quieter. She'd left her key on the counter with a note. "I'll always love you. But you broke me." I read it twice. Threw it away. Made dinner in my newly spacious kitchen. Here's the part that actually matters, though. Her dad reached out to me directly. Not through her, not through her mom. Just a text from a number I didn't recognize at first. "This is her father. I know things are complicated. Can I buy you beer sometime? Just to talk man to man. No agenda." I thought about it for a day. Then I agreed. We met at a low-key sports bar yesterday. He's a decent guy. Works in construction management. Built his business from nothing. Has that old-school provide-for-your-family mentality. We'd always gotten along, even if we weren't close. "I'm not here to ask you to take her back," he said right off the bat. "That ship has sailed. I just wanted to say, I get it. You do." He sighed. "My wife and I, we gave her too much growing up. She was our only girl after 3 boys. We spoiled her. I see that now. The way she talked about your money like it was already hers. I heard some of those conversations. I should have said something. Why didn't you?" "Because I thought you'd handle it. You seem like the kind of guy who'd push back. When you didn't, I figured maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. Or maybe you were just different from me." I pushed back. Eventually. "Yeah." He finished his beer. "The wrong way, maybe, but you pushed back." We sat in silence for a bit. Then he said, "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About the money, about my wife showing up at your job, about all of it. You deserved better than how this ended." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded. Final update, 3 weeks later. I'm writing this last update because things have settled into something resembling a new normal, and I figured the story needed an ending. My ex-fiancée moved back in with her parents. Temporarily, according to the family grapevine. She's been looking at apartments, but the combination of her portion of the canceled wedding costs, which her parents apparently expect her to repay over time, and the general expense of starting over has put her in a tough spot financially. I don't feel good about that. I don't feel bad either. It just is what it is. She sent me a long email about a week ago. I almost didn't read it, but curiosity got the better of me. It was interesting. Not an apology exactly, more like an explanation. She talked about growing up as the youngest, about always being taken care of, about how she genuinely didn't see anything wrong with expecting me to provide for her in the same way her parents had. She said the Bachelorette argument was a wake-up call that came too late. Then she said something that stuck with me. "I thought being provided for was the same as being loved." I think I was wrong about that, but I also think you could have told me instead of just leaving. She's not wrong. I could have. I chose not to. Maybe that makes me the bad guy in some tellings of this story. I ambushed her. I waited until she was in another country to drop the bomb. I could have had a hard conversation instead of a dramatic exit. But here's the thing. I tried the hard conversations. For a year. Every budget discussion, every pushback, every attempt to set boundaries. She dismissed them all. Told me I was being cheap. Told me to stop worrying. Told me the wedding is about her. At some point, talking stops working and action is all that's left. I didn't respond to her email. There wasn't anything left to say. As for the practical stuff, the apartment is officially just mine again. I changed the locks after she returned her key, not out of paranoia, but because my building recommends it after any cohabitation ends. Smart policy. My bonus money, what's left of it after the trip I paid for, is sitting in a savings account. I'm not ready to think about house hunting again. Maybe in a few months. Maybe next year. There's no rush now. Work has been fine. My manager checked in once more. I told him the situation was resolved, and we moved on. The people who matter know the truth. The people who don't can believe whatever version they've heard. Her family has mostly gone quiet. Her mom sent one more email, which I deleted without reading. Her brothers apparently told her to let it go. Her dad and I haven't spoken since the bar. but I wouldn't be opposed to grabbing a beer again someday. He seemed like he genuinely understood, even if he couldn't say it outright. The bridesmaids have scattered to their own lives. One of them actually sent me a DM on Instagram a few days ago. Said she was sorry for how things went down and that she'd seen some of the budget arguments firsthand over the planning process. Said she tried to tell my ex to ease up, but got shut down. I thanked her for reaching out and left it at that. As for me, I'm okay. Not great, not terrible, just okay. There's a weird grief in losing a future you'd planned for, even when you're the one who chose to walk away. I catch myself sometimes thinking about the house we were going to buy, the life we were going to build, and then I remember why it fell apart, and the grief turns into something colder. Relief, maybe, or just clarity. I've started cooking more. Sounds dumb, but when you're not splitting groceries or compromising on meal plans, you can just make what you want. I made a steak last night that was exactly how I like it. Medium rare, garlic butter, the whole thing. Ate it standing at my kitchen counter because I could. Small freedoms. They add up. My buddy asked if I was going to start dating again. I told him not yet. Maybe not for a while. I need to figure out what I actually want, not just what I'm willing to settle for. That's going to take time. But here's the thing I keep coming back to. I'm not angry anymore. I was for a while. That cold, focused anger that got me through the cancellation and the aftermath. But it's faded now, replaced by something quieter. Acceptance, I guess. She wanted a wedding that was about her. I wanted a marriage that was about us. Those two things were never going to coexist. Better to figure that out before the vows than after. Someone in the comments of my first post said something that stuck with me. You didn't cancel a wedding. You canceled a mistake. That's probably the most accurate summary of this whole mess. I don't know what happens next. That's uncomfortable, but it's also kind of freeing. For the first time in years, my future is just mine. I get to decide what it looks like. For now, that's enough.